people at Truck Stop done teamed up with the boy Mark the Mentor. Are you ready to take your trucking business to the next level? With Truck Stop Pro, you get access to the best load board in the game, giving you the tools to find higher paying loads and streamline your operation. And right now, you can try the Pro plan free for 30 days, a $159 value. Click the link in the description to claim your free Pro plan and start making smarter moves for your trucking business today.
Warning: the following content contains strong language and may not be suitable for children. This content is primarily for adults, as this is a trucking channel and truckers have filthy mouths. Please don't tweak if I say viewer discretion is advised.
How you guys doing? Come on in. Make sure you guys hit that like button. How's everybody doing this afternoon? All right, let's get in here and get going. Shout out to Great Polo. I see you. Shout out to all the Who's this? UK Hemi. This Hemi is Hemi because you got a Hellcat? Is that why your name Hemi? Because you got a Hellcat? Shout out to UK Hemi. Shout out to Roger Lacey. What's going on? Shout out to all the MGM. Shout out to all the moderators. What's going on to Kirk Morris? What's going on? How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Big day today. Big day today. Got the presidential debate later on this evening. Looking forward to that. I may do a watch party. A couple people have asked me, am I going to stream it? I may do a watch party. If I do a watch party, I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself. Last time we kind of low-key tried to get hijacked up in here. Last time we did something around the whole, presidential thing. So I may do a watch party. I may not. It all depends. Shout out to Rich Jew. Shout out to Christine. Come on in. Shout out to everybody, moderators, MGM members. Vaughn Gray, what up? Don Beasy, what's the deal? Shout out to FTS LLC, representing Joliet, Illinois. Come on in. How's everybody doing? All right, today we're going to be talking about robbing from the business, robbing from the sustainability of the business. That's just something that, to the people who are kind of new to the channel, this is a term that I always say from time to time, and I harped on it for a while earlier this year and last year. A lot of people rob from the sustainability of the business, and they don't know what that means. All right, so we're going to talk about it, and we're going to kick it today. Shout out to everybody that's coming in. Captured by Old Studio, what up? Nutty Boy, what up? Alkali, what's going on? Santana Vision, what's going on? Shout out to everybody that's checking in from the crib. Now check this out. A lot of people kind of got things misconstrued, especially a lot of new business owners who have a lack of understanding on business, right? A lot of people that I talk to that come into business, they think they are the business. I hear that a lot. Well, Mark, I am the business. It's my business, so it's my money. And you couldn't be far from the truth. You're wrong. You're wrong. The business is the business, and you are who you are. You're an individual, and the business is the business. What happens is a lot of people, they go out, they do what they need to do to get the revenue for the business. And then after they spend whatever it is that they need to run the business, they think whatever is left over is theirs. And you're absolutely, positively, 100% wrong. And this is where a lot of your issues come in at. And this is why I say you should have a full understanding of what you're getting into before you get into it. You should understand some level of business. You should try to increase your business acumen as much as possible prior to getting in business. You're an individual. All right. The business needs cash flow to sustain. And then what happens is you end up robbing from the sustainability of the business. All right. So what happens when you rob from the sustainability of business? There's a few points I'm going to talk about, kick it with you, and then I'm going to get out of here, hit the gym so I can get back to the crib in time to watch this debate. Let's talk about short-term versus long-term, all right? You go out, you make money, right? Let's say you're a 26-foot box truck guy who's over the road. Most people, when I talk to them, even the ones that you see come up here on the call and show, and I ask them, what's their CPM? They say they don't know. I said, well, how much it costs you to operate your business? They don't know. And then they try to come up with the number on the fly right then. And here's where they always go. They say, well, you know, I usually make around this much, but after I pay for gas, this much is left. And this is how much I make. So then I always go, well, what about you rent a truck, right? Yeah. So you don't factor in the weekly cost of the rental. You don't factor in the insurance. They don't factor in none of this shit. And the reason why is because they're not doing any bookkeeping. The money is coming in and it's going right back out. I talked to a young guy the other day. He's probably watching right now. He gets a load. He does a load. It gets factored. If $1,000 comes in, he puts some gas in his tank. I'm just throwing the numbers out there. He might send some to his baby mama. He might pay some of his personal bills, pay his cell phone bill, pay some personal bills, send some back home to the BM. A lot of y'all do the same thing. This is robbing from the sustainability of the business. This is robbing the business. As soon as money comes in, you sending it out. You taking care of business expenses, you taking care of personal expenses. So how will your business have any long-term success when you're constantly robbing from it? All right, where the problem starts, it starts actually before you even start your business. And this is where a lot of people mess up. You got two types of business individuals that are coming into this industry right now. You got your get it out the mud trucking LLC guy. And then you got your guy that's about 40 to 55 who's been working on their job for 15, 20 years. And for some strange reason, they don't want to work anymore. Even though they halfway to retirement, they want to leave. This is more your generational wealth guy, right? So you got get it out the mud trucking LLC guy, and you got generational wealth LLC guy. All right, now here's what happens. Get it out the mud trucking LLC guy comes into business. They don't understand what it's going to cost to run the business because they haven't done any research. And this is the guy who's going to come into business. They're going to get a low factor. They're going to get that money in. They're going to pay for their fuel. They're not going to worry about the truck rental that's coming up later on down the week. They're not going to worry about the insurance that's later on down a month and all the other fixed expenses and all the other. They're going to worry about that shit when that shit comes. That's a individual who, you know, lives day to day. All right. But what they do know is this weekend is going to be Get Out the Mud Trucking LLC. The bottle girl's going to come through. They're going to make sure they run that load so that they can have enough money so that they can hit that party, so that they can stand on couches. And then they're going to rob from the sustainability to have a good weekend. And then Monday morning, they're going to be looking for that load to kind of recoup because they know they got Penske finna hit them Wednesday, right? And then there was just towards the end of the month that insurance finna hit and whatever other little bills that they got. This is that individual. Then you got the older individual, which is the generational wealth LLC person who's been working on their job for 15 years or 20 years, right? Who is making a decent amount of money, who's married, who has some children, have a couple car notes, a mortgage, right? Didn't do any research, want to leave work, but don't understand because they see things on the internet. They see people say, oh, I made 190,000 or I made 200,000, not realizing that 125 that they're making on their job and that 200,000 that their buddy said that they're making in the box truck, even though that number is larger, it's a possibility they could be making less. They just look at the large number. On top of that, they don't factor in their cost of living. You got a mortgage. You have a car. Your wife has a car. You got school-age children that are growing. They have extracurricular things going on, soccer, basketball. They have fees that are associated with that. They have school fees that are associated with that. You have Christmas. You got birthdays. You got family vacation. You got utilities. They haven't done the research to see what this box truck business actually will bring in and sat down and done the math on average to see that, listen, if I run this business, will I be able to bring in enough business for the business to be able to sustain cash flow and still be able to pay myself enough to maintain the lifestyle that my job has provided me. And then this is where that problem comes in. This is why that older individual gets into this business that didn't do their research, that really didn't sit down and crunch the numbers, and then they end up robbing from the sustainability of the business. We have examples of both on the channel, from testimonials to the call-in show. Every time we ran across someone that followed, let's say, followed my blueprint, we had a guy who was more like a generation, a get it out the mud type of individual, Big Zo, who's actually doing exceptionally well. But when Big Zo followed my blueprint and started making the money, he still had a get it out the mud trucking LLC mindset because he was young. He went out, made the money, bought a Lexus, sending money to his BM or his wife. All the stuff that young people do that have a get it out the mud trucking LLC mentality. That's a younger person. But then we've also had older people on the channel, like Serious Lanes, and there was a gentleman the other day that called up, and some other older guys. And what do they always say when they're making money? Well, where all the money go? Man, I got to take care of home. I got to take care of home. I got to take care of home. And then this is where I go into full accountability mode. And then you got some people that watch me that really don't understand what I be saying. Like, man, the business don't give a F about the home, or man, F them kids because the business don't care about that. Like, I'm not going to feel bad for you because you say you got to take care of home. That was something that you should have had figured out before you got in. You would have realized that, listen, even though I'm making $60,000 or $50,000 less on this job in this career, this box truck business, even though that gross number is higher, man, I may only be working on a 15% profit margin or a 20% profit margin. The cost that it's going to cost to run that business to get to that gross, I'm going to make less after I make the money, and the cost that it's associated with, I'm going to be making less than what I'm making on my job. And then they end up robbing from the sustainability of the business, and then one thing happens and it's done. So many people that get into this industry, especially right now, they're guilty of this. Now, let's use an example from the other day. I was challenged on the Smoke Show. Shout out to MW Lou. He challenged me on the Smoke Show. He was the guy who called up, who was disgruntled in the chat, and he put something in the chat. And this is a great segue for me to help you understand why it's imperative to know and understand how much it's going to cost you to sustain a business so that you can cash flow and your living expenses. He threw a shot at me from the chat Sunday and said, well, man, you stayed at home while you were building your business, but we got kids and da-da-da-da-da, and that's fine. But I also understood that if I would have got out and got an apartment and did a lot of things that would have ultimately required me to pay more, it would have stunted my growth. My growth wouldn't have been as fast, right? And as expedited as it was once I hit the takeoff phase of the 5 stages of business growth, right? Even when I was making a lot of money hand over fist, my second year, I still decided and remained at home because I had a goal. I understood what it took to sustain a business, and therefore I knew what it was going to take to continue to grow the business. So I delayed my gratification. Now, MW Lou tried to throw a shot at me for delaying my gratification, but I encourage anybody that can delay their gratification starting a business to do so, whatever that may look like. If that requires you to stay at home a little bit longer, do it. I don't care what no one says. Don't let anybody try to down or make fun of you, because at the end of the day, you got to look at the finish line. Life is about choices and decisions. And the people that laugh at you at the beginning, let's see if they laughing at the end. It was a lot of people laughing at me. I've talked about the relationship that I was in when I first started and the ultimatum she gave, and she followed through with that ultimatum. Look at me now. I didn't let it deter me. I followed through with the plan. I stuck to the plan. I stayed the course. Everybody delayment at the beginning is going to be different, but one thing I will guarantee you, you're going to have to delay some gratification at the beginning. Now everybody's going to be able to stay at the crib. And it seems like this ruffles people's feathers when I say that. So if that's not your journey, then you have to find another way to delay, but you're going to have to delay. And here's the thing. If you know you got dreams of starting a business, then you can't be going around doing dumb shit. Now, I can get into examples of what dumb shit is, but then it seems like when I start saying this shit, people feelings get hurt. Should we go through some of these examples? All right, boom, let's talk about it. If you know you want to start a business and you got bad habits like smoking weeds and you got to buy tray fives and you got to have a drink, stop drinking. If you know you don't like to put you like to go raw dog, but now you run the risk of having kids and having baby mamas that's going to hit you for child support, throw the Jimmy on. Because at the end of the day, guess what? You can't get mad at the next person because they were more disciplined than you because they had a plan and they knew that small mistakes would stunt their growth. You can't get mad at that. If you have aspirations of starting a business, then you can't be out here doing dumb shit because you're going to have to delay some type of gratification. You can't get mad at the next person because they had this opportunity to delay it, and this is what helped catapult them. You're going to have to delay it somewhere. Stop doing dumb shit. Stop spending excess money on dumb shit. Stop going to clubs. Stop drinking. Stop smoking. Stop eating out. If you got to isolate yourself, so be it, because if you're on the dating scene and you going on dates and you spending money on dates, going to the movies, going to dinners and shit like that, you may have to stop doing that. You're going to have people around you that you kicking it with that you may have to remove yourself from around because now your mentality and their mentality is on two different wavelengths. And you can't allow yourself to be influenced on doing things that's going to stunt your growth. You're going to have to delay it somewhere. Everybody's journey ain't going to be the same. So check this out. If you're in a situation where you already got a family and kids, then you're going to have to delay something else. But you need to keep this in mind prior to starting this business. One, this business is costly. So if you have a cost of living that's already up here because you had a job that afforded you to have this cost of living, you may not be able to live like this no more. If you make $200,000 a year with your box truck gross, you're probably going to make more still staying at your job if you're making $125,000, $130,000 a year. That $200,000 ain't your money. The business got that. The business is going to pay you after the business pays everything else. How much you think to make $200,000 in a box truck? That's a lot of driving, which means there's a lot of fuel. And if it's a lot of driving, that means it's a lot of wear and tear, which means there's going to be maintenance associated with it somewhere. You're going to have to pay insurance. You're going to have to pay your rental if you're renting a truck, which is going to eat up a lot of your margin. If you decide to finance, you're going to have to pay that finance monthly. You're going to have tolls associated with it. You're going to have factoring fees associated with it. You're going to have to eat, whether you eat out or whether you pack a lunch. You may sleep in your truck. You may not sleep in your truck. The point that I'm saying is there's going to be costs associated with it. So when you say, well, man, I got to take care of home, that's something you should have thought about prior to coming into the business. Because guess what? One truck may not allow you the profitability for the lifestyle that you have already made for yourself. And that's where you get misconstrued. And this is where you let the thumbnails from some of your favorite people influence you to go do something without doing the proper research. Listen, I'm telling you, one truck ain't going to be able to sustain that lifestyle that you may have acquired for yourself if you're already at a career making $100,000 a year. You're going to have to scale. I've crunched some numbers, and I've said this all the time. If I were to re-enter into the space today with the lifestyle that I've acquired for myself, with my monthly costs, I would have to rob from the business so bad I wouldn't even probably survive a month. My cost of living is over 10 grand. The business is going to cost me over 10 grand. The average box trucker that's really, really running hard over the road, even final mile, about $20,000 a month. If I run a final mile contract, the most I'm going to get on average is about $5,000 a week. An average box trucker that's really, really running is averaging about $5,000 a week. A good one that's really running, that really knows the road, that has relationships, that's making money. All right, that's 20 grand a month. I know what the cost of living is for me. So once I crunch the numbers, understanding what it's going to cost to run and cash flow that business, plus my cost of living currently, I know that one box truck is not going to be enough revenue for me. I'm going to have to scale. So if I decide to do that, I'm going to have to make sure I have enough money in reserves to withstand me building and scaling this business to profitability. That's why when you look at companies like rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft and some other startup companies, I think Uber only has had one profitable quarter since its inception. I think that was Q4 2023, right? But they have VC and angel investors, right, that have invested billions of dollars because they knew that it was going to take years and years and years to figure out how to be profitable. But as a small business owner, you don't have that type of VC funding. You don't have Andreessen Horowitz dumping billions of dollars because they believe in you, and you're knowingly starting this business, knowingly you're going to operate at a loss for years and years and years. One of my investments that I really believe in, Rivian, still not profitable. How long has Rivian been building? For years, over a decade. They're just really getting vehicles on the road the past couple of years. Every Rivian you see on the street, Rivian took a loss on it. Every single Rivian that you've seen on the street thus far, Rivian took a loss on it. It cost them more to build the cars than what they're selling them for. And they understand that. You're not in that position. You can't withstand operating at a loss for years and years and years because you don't have venture capitalists funding. You don't have angel investors. And this is where so many people make the mistake. And then they come back to the internet and they say trucking is trash, and they get in their feelings, and then they say things in the chat, and they get mad at that person, this person, whether the person is at fault or not. At the end of the day, you haven't done your due diligence. The same way you look at a load board and you see a number and run because you don't know your cost per mile is the same way you see a thumbnail and you see some kid, trying not to cuss here, but I may cuss. You see some kid that says, oh, I made $2 million last year. What makes you think a kid, like, you think they just magically just figured that shit out their first year? But you believed it. So you ran and you did what wasn't in your best interest. You quit your job. You halfway to 100%. You halfway to full retirement, but you quit. to go start this business. Then you end up here on the call-in show talking about, man, I'm making money, but I don't know where it's going. And then we sit here, we break it down, and then we always get to, well, man, you know I got to take care of home. And then I got to be like, man, business don't give about your home. Well, man, I got kids, man, F your kids. Then I got to be the bad guy. Then I got guys like NW Lou in the chat talk crazy, talking about how I started. I always say, all right, start from humble beginnings, but you don't want to work your way up. You start from humble beginnings, the cost of entry ain't little to nothing. And as you learn, you grow. It's like this. Oh yeah, MW Lou, I see you thought I was going just because you put a little good comment in the chat earlier. You think I still ain't gonna cook you from the other night? Oh no. I got a week of cooking with you, NW Lou. You're gonna have to live with that. You're gonna have to live with that. See, because it's just like Kevin Samuel said. The smoke show is rules to the smoke show. The moment you get personal, you lost. And see, you was personal before you even hit the link. You took it personal before you even hit the link, so you lost. That's why I just sat back and let you talk. So you got about 5 more days. I'm gonna give you 5 more days. If I can get a good punchline in on you, MW Lou, I'll quit. I'm gonna give you 5 more days of punchlines, and then I chill out. But you're gonna have to eat this because you took it personal. Smoke show debates, you can't get personal or you're gonna lose. You was personal in the chat. Keep it on the content, keep it on the business. You got in your feelings, so you gotta accept these punchlines. Hit the like button. Y'all ain't hitting that like button. Y'all want me to come cook up, but you don't hit the like button. You got personal when you said, man, talking about 34 living at the crib. Mama. Anytime you get to talking about mama, you name somebody mama and all that shit, and you get personal, you lost. You lost, sir. You got to own that. You lost in the chat and you lost when you came up on screen. You got too personal. But that we'll kick it another day. We'll kick it another day. All right? So check it out. It's imperative that you know these things because you won't have long-term success if you're constantly taking money from the business to cover business expenses and personal expenses. You need to know what it costs you because at the end of the day, you have to pay yourself and the business still has to cash flow. All right, let's get to the next topic. Cash flow. Cash is king, man. Listen. I know your favorite people in the credit world tell you to tap in, hit the link, tap in, and I'm going to show you how to run your business credit up, and I'm going to show you how to get all these loans and this, that, and the third, and you go do it, and then you find out it was capped. Because here, the bank ain't going to give you shit. Like, to me, I feel like that's common enough sense. You can walk into any bank once you go get your LLC and your EIN number and inquire about business loans, and they're going to give you this sheet of paper, and depending on the bank, they're going to tell you, listen, you need to be in business. The first restriction, they're going to tell you the first thing in the guideline they're going to give you is going to say you got to be in business at least 2 to 3 years, depending on the bank. Some banks won't talk to you unless you've been in business 2 years, some 3. That's the first thing they show you. It says on that sheet of paper. So when you go tap in with these people, like you just help them out because the bank ain't gonna give you shit. You go apply for a business credit card, great. You PG it, personally guarantee it, but it's not gonna give you enough capital on that card to start your business. And then you gonna tap into that, and then you gonna be broke. Even if you do. You don't got no collateral. Cash is king. Why do you think I always tell you to start from humble beginnings? One of the top questions I get once people go watch my montage video and they see in the live stream where I showed my journey from beginning all the way up to my peak is, man, how did you acquire so many trucks? And I always say the same thing. I bought them cash. I only financed 2 trucks, and those were the 2 new ones. All the used ones I went and paid cash for. Why would I, one, the place that I was going here is like the places that y'all go to buy used truck. Mom and pop truck center dealer places. Or you go to Penske or Ryder, and none of these places use traditional banks. Why? Because traditional banks don't deal with used commercial equipment, for one. So they go to these finance equipment places that rob you blind. Why would I want somebody to rob me blind knowingly that they're robbing me blind? I'm not that desperate to buy something or get into something if I know I'm going to get robbed. I'm going to go run my bag up. It's easy to acquire the cash when you start from humble beginnings and you start with what you have. I tell people this shit all the time, but you know what? People want that instant gratification because they see the thumbnail of kids online with these large, unrealistic numbers. I'm looking at these kids to 1.2 million the first year. And y'all believe the shit. Hit the like button. So you go out because you saw a thumbnail and you do what's not in your best interest, whether you get it out the mud or you generational wealth. For the people that came in late, Generational Wealth LLC, that's a more younger business owner. Generational Wealth is a more older person that's coming into this business. You start with what you have. Use your car, use your van. Get out there, download some of these apps. T-Force, some of these logistics companies have routes that you can do in your car. And some of them pay pretty well. I know T-Force had a route that was a guarantee, $225 a day. I don't know if they're still offering it or if it still pays a guarantee or if they switched over to a per piece, but it was an e-commerce route. It was paying $225 a day, guaranteed. You can do that in your car. You weren't delivering nothing but clothes from like Zara and Abercrombie and StockX. Fill up your trunk, fill up your black seat, fill up your passenger. But no, that don't look cool enough for you. Why? Because you want to take the picture on Instagram sitting on your Penske truck or sitting on the truck that you went and bought, that you got the equipment equipment funding financing that they robbing you blind, and then you put hashtag new business owner, then you write this long story about how it was so hard for you coming up, but now you here now. And then you got whatever the hottest song currently playing, Boss Man D-Lo or some shit like that. Because that looks better. You don't want to let nobody know that you working for T-Force doing e-commerce in your Toyota Tacoma or your Hyundai Sonata or Hyundai Elantra or Toyota Camry. That don't look good enough. That ain't good enough to post on the gram. But I guarantee you one thing, if you go do that shit in your car, with what you already have, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. You're gonna have less overhead expenses because you're using what you have. You're entering into the industry that you ultimately want to be in from an entry level position, and you're earning. And while you're earning, you're learning. You're learning with what you have. You don't have to high commercial insurance. You're going out, you're doing routes. So while you're doing these routes on a local level, you're learning your market, you're learning traffic conditions, traffic patterns. I'm speaking from like a local level. You're learning how to make deliveries quick and more efficient. You're learning about what areas are more dense versus not so dense. You're fraternizing with the powers that be within that terminal, the operations supervisor, the dispatcher. You're building relationships. And it's not costing you that much than it would if you go out and you buy a cargo van or 26-foot box truck with the financing, the rental, the commercial insurances that are associated with it, and all the other fees that are associated with it. You're doing the same thing on a smaller capacity, at a smaller cost. You're building relationships. You're learning the market. You're learning the business. You're making money while you're learning at a fraction of the cost, so that as you're making money and you're appropriating that money, allocating that money to the side so that you can scale up to that cargo van. Now, when you do get that cargo van, you're going out, you understand cash is king. You have the cash to pay for it. You're not going to go out and buy some brand new Transit T350 for $60,000. You're going to go try to find something for under 20. Hopefully cash out on it. You've already have a relationship with the powers that be in that terminal. They say, listen, when you go get a van, we got a nice sweet route for you. It's very dense. It's close by your home. So when you're done, you're within 5 miles from the home. That route averages about 150 pieces, so you'll make $300 or $400 a day. You know about commercial insurance. You know how to get around paying so much. You just learn a lot from starting what you have. And then you just grow from there. You take those baby steps. But that takes too long for most people. That takes too long. But I tell you one thing. When you take that route, as you learn, you're building up cash flow. I mean, that's how I did. I started with what I had, and I worked the shit out of what I had. Then I stepped up to a rental truck. Then I stepped up to a second rental truck. Then I stepped up to a third. Then I got fully licensed. Then I started buying trucks. Then I created another company. I bought more trucks. Each truck I bought, I paid cash for it. I understood the danger of all those big offers that would come in the mail, all those phone calls and those offers and shit that the bank would put in my portal on my banking business side of my portal when I log into my business account with the bank. These little offers, as they would say. My credit card merchant company, right, for my moving company. This is right around the time when Square and Stripe were really coming and competing on the scene. And then they started doing these credit merchant loans because they see the type of money that's coming in. Well, you know, Mark, we see, this is how they send the email. And as soon as you log into the portal, it's right there. Hey, you got 3 tiers. We see you bringing in a lot of money a month. Okay, your moving company is bringing about 50, 60, 70 grand, whatever it is a month. You know what? We can loan you money because what they're going to do is they see the money is coming in. So they know you're making money. So instead of going to the bank, what you need? We got 3 tiers. We can give you 10,000 and you give us back 1250, 12,500, let's say. We can give you 20,000 and you give us back 25,000, or we can give you 30,000 and you give us back 40,000. We ain't worried. You ain't got to fill up no paperwork. Just sign right here at the bottom. Why? Because the money, you're using them as a merchant. And then this is what we're going to do. We're going to pay ourselves back. Every credit card transaction you do, we're going to pay ourselves back depending on which tier, 3%, 5%, 20%. They're loaning you the money based on your future receivables. But they don't have to go through underwriting because they see what you got coming in already in the portal because they're processing your credit cards for you. I could have easily got caught up in that. That's how a lot of people get caught up. They get these offers, they take it, and then they misappropriate that money because they never seen that type of money before in their life. Then they end up scaling too prematurely. I ignored all of that. Cash is king. Cash keeps you disciplined. Because if I don't have it to spend, I'm not going to spend it. If it's something I feel like we need and we can afford it and still have plenty of cash flow to withstand anything that happens, then so be it. That was my key to success. Cash. It kept me disciplined. This is what we got to work with. So we got to work with what we have. Fuck this credit shit. Fuck all that extra shit that's coming at me. No. This is what we have. I want to keep as much of it as possible. We need another truck. We need to go get the best truck at the lowest amount. Because I want to keep a bulk of this. But I understand we got to spend some of it. So we need to get the best for the lowest. So that when anything arose, we had cash flow to take care of it. Without cash flow, you have no business. Period. I don't care what nobody tells you. Goes back to the live streams from a week or two ago. Hit the like button. This whole $3,000, $4,000, you a fool. Listen, if you think you're going to come into this business with just enough money, listen, and this is where probably MW will get mad at me, you're going to fail. This is where people get mad because I tell you you're going to fail because that's some stupid shit. You need cash flow, fool. You can't sustain and run a business without cash flow. Anything can happen. Without money, you have no business. Any smart business person will tell you that. If somebody is telling you you can start a trucking business for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, that's not a reputable source. It's going to take you, if you can get in with that minimal amount, what about your cash flow? You need cash. Cash is king. Listen, I could expound on cash all day. You need cash. You need cash in your reserves. You should start your business with cash. Listen, do what you want to do. But I guarantee if you start your business with cash, I guarantee you're going to be a lot more disciplined and you're going to go a lot further. But make sure you have enough cash. Just enough is not enough. If you have just enough, you don't have enough. Because the one thing that you don't know that I see a lot of new business owners that don't understand, they don't understand cash flow. They don't understand working capital. Because this is what your favorite person is not talking to you about, because either they don't know it or they don't want to tell you because they want to sell you on the illusion of coming in so cheap. You're going to get eaten alive. Every person that we've seen come up here with just enough money, they didn't even last a full quarter. They didn't even last a full season. The same season they got in, it was that same season when they failed. When you don't have cash flow, when you rob from the sustainability of your business, you're sacrificing your growth. Everybody wants to come in and scale. That's what I hear everybody say, I want to scale, I want to scale. Well, one, you're going to have to scale if you want to really, truly make some money, right? Because let's kick it. A person who's grossing $20,000 a month, to really be able to profit, let's say an OTR guy that's really running the road, depending on how you come in, let's say coming in fair and minimal, you're gonna probably be, your business cost gonna probably be about $10,000 a month, and that's not with it, even you paying yourself. All right, to really make some decent money, your personal living gonna have to be about $4,000 or less, and nowadays that's not practical. I've talked to some people that say their cost of living is about $4,000 or less, but I just don't see too many people being able to live for less than $4,000. You got to scale this thing if you're not practical. And I'm just keeping it a buck with you. All right. So when you rob from the sustainability of your business to take care of things like home, you're sacrificing your growth. If you don't have any cash flow, how are you going to grow? It takes money to grow. If I told you every truck I bought except for 2 was cash, one, I knew what it cost for me to run my business, which a lot of people don't know. And because I knew what it cost, I knew what to charge people. I knew what to charge people on the moving side. I knew what to accept or decline on the final mile side, so that the business can profit, so that when we need it to grow and acquire additional equipment, we can just go and write a check. So we have cash flow. I don't want to pay some high fee because some company went and bought the truck for me and then I'm paying them back with an exorbitant charge on top. Nah, we got money. I got $8,000. Let me go write a check for 8. Let me go write a check for 12. Let me go write a check for 10. Because I know how to make money that 8, that 10, that 12, I'm going to recoup that back in 30 to 45 days. And then I'm going to recycle that same money to go buy another truck. I'm using the same money. Without cash flow, if you're robbing from the sustainability of your business, you'll never grow. You're going to be stuck in that rut. Goes back to what we said at the beginning. What you going to do? Where you going to sacrifice at? Where you going to delay your gratification at? If you came in the right way and you're struggling, that means your cost of living is high. Where you going to cut on your cost of living? And that's where a lot of people have the issue at. You know, you have a lot of people that have a higher cost of living and they come in the wrong way and they have high operational expenses. But then where a lot of people really mess up or really have a problem at is that living. Yo, get it out the mud business owner, they spending money frivolously for a lifestyle that they want to perpetuate on the internet or wherever. The older person just has a cost of living because a career has afforded them that cost of living, and they just were ignorant coming in that now they still have to maintain this cost of living because they left their career thinking that this box truck was going to be able to sustain that cost of living, sustain the business, and that they were going to be able to make more money, and they realized that they made a mistake. But guess what? That mortgage still got to get paid. That car note still got to get paid. You was already paying your wife car note. You can't tell her, babe, I can't pay your car note no more, so you going to rob from the business to pay her note. Little man in them, he got football. He got to pay his uniform fees and shit like that. So how can your business grow when you're constantly robbing from it? Can't. It can't. These are things that you need to think about prior to coming in business. For the young people, for the get it out the mud people, you need to think about this shit early. Don't go out and do dumb shit if you know you want to start a business. Don't make things harder for yourself. I encourage you to stay at home. If you can stay at home while you build your business. Don't listen to what nobody else say. Let them laugh. Let them crack jokes. And then 10, 15 years later, see where they at. Isolate yourself if need be. Focus on your business. It's lonely on the way up. And when you get up there, it's lonely too. But this is the choice that you made. If this is what you want to do, this is what comes along with it. A lot of sacrifices. For the individual who's a more generational wealth type of investor, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because we can't give you a little of the grace that we give to get it out the mud person because they're younger and they're just not as mature. If you listen to some shit that you saw on the internet from somebody that's 10, 15, 20 years younger than you, you ought to be a fool anyway to believe things that just don't make sense. You think one truck is going to be able to sustain a lifestyle that you've already accrued for yourself? That means you didn't do no research, you didn't crunch no numbers, you listened to a kid. Business not going to grow if you're constantly robbing from it. What happens when you start robbing from the business? You keep robbing from it, you keep robbing from it, you keep robbing from it, hit the like button, you keep robbing from it, boom, something major happens. Now you gotta go borrow some money. That business line of credit that they've been offering you, that credit card that they've been offering you, you go borrow that. Now you're in deeper debt. And guess what happened when you fall in debt? Start taking advantage of people. If you have employees, you don't have the money to pay them. You can't pay the vendors. You in debt. Now you put yourself deeper in the debt because you went and borrowed some money to get yourself out of the debt. And the further you get in debt, anybody that has ever been in like deep debt will tell you, once you get so deep, it's hard to come up out of that shit. And that's why they got something called bankruptcy. That's what happens. And a lot of guys that I've talked to since I've been on YouTube have had to do that. They've had to go bankruptcy. A box truck business has taken people to bankruptcy. We had the young guy that came up the other day. He's 20-something. He's still in debt. There's another guy came up. He's still in debt. All because of this whole box truck craze. The deeper you dig, the more you run and you don't have cash flow, the more you continuously run from the more you continuously rob week to week from the sustainability of the business, eventually a unforeseen situation is going to catch you. It's only a matter of time. If you're robbing Peter to pay Paul every single week, it's going to catch you. You're going to have a blowout, truck going to break down in the middle of nowhere, something going to happen. You're going to have a claim, something going to happen. They're going to hold your money, something going to happen. It's inevitable. It's not me being negative. It's business. There's no such thing as a 100% peaches and cream rosy business. I've had all type of shit happen. I had a dude back into a dock, tear the whole goddamn on and off. I had a truck roofed. I've been sued. I've gotten floors replaced. I've had walls repaired. I purchased new flat screen TVs for people. I've had to get trucks winched out of the snow multiple times from the same person that keep making the same dumb mistake, like to the point like he was doing the shit on purpose. All types of shit. But guess what? You're upset, but if you have cash flow, it's no big deal. You just got to get it done and keep it moving. But if you've been robbing from the sustainability of the business and these unforeseen situations occur, you have no cash flow. Now you calling back home, you calling man, phoning them, your baby mama asking her, can she Zelle or Cash App you some money because you stranded. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go back 4-5 months ago when you took that picture and you posted on Instagram and you said new business owner, I want you to go do an updated post and take a picture of whatever happened and why you were stranded or where you messed up at and said, man, I'm they. That they I kept talking about, I'm him, I'm they. I want you to be honest and transparent. Don't tell everybody the good shit. I want you to make sure that you share that on your Instagram too, to my get it out the mud people. My generational wealth, older crowd that follow some of these kids, I want you to hold yourself accountable too. I want you to hold yourself accountable too. I want you to do the walk of shame. If you still on Facebook, make sure you make a Facebook post. I don't know. You can't rob from the sustainability of business. Business needs cash flow. Period. The business should be grossing more. Listen, and then there's another thing. When you pay yourself, why are you paying yourself more than the business? The business should always get paid more than you. I've given this example before. Do you think Elon Musk is worth more than Tesla? Do you think Jeff Bezos is worth more than Amazon? Do you think Warren Buffett has more money than Berkshire Hathaway? Y'all pay yourself and then lead a business with shit. Look up Elon Musk net worth and then look up the market cap for Tesla. Look up Jeff Bezos net worth and then look up the market cap for Amazon. Look up Tim Cook's net worth and then look up the market cap for Apple. You talking about guys that are billionaires and some of those companies have a $3 trillion market cap. $3 trillion. And then this guy's worth 100 and some billion, and the company is worth over $3 trillion. Not the other way around. You got a broke business, but you get it out the mud truck and LLC Saturday night at the club. Whole time business account show. Your personal account finna be show after that night. The only thing you gonna remember from that night, from the money that you spent, from where you robbed, from the sustainability of the business, the next morning when you pissing out that 1942, hit the like button. That's the only remnants you gonna have of that money. The business bank account gonna be broke. Your personal bank account gonna be broke, and the only remnants that you gonna have is that 1942 that you pissing out the next morning. Hit the like button. I'm keeping it a buck with you. This is what happens when you rob from the sustainability of your business. I talked about something earlier today in the Discord. Out of all the time that I've been on YouTube and many people that's come up here, when I talk to people about they fixed and variable costs, not one person has ever included health insurance. You running around with no health insurance. You can't afford it no more. Get it out the mud, you never had it. You can't afford it now because you rather go rob from the sustainability of the business, go do dumb shit with it then get you a healthcare plan. And to my generational wealth, older, entering into the space, you let that shit go once you left your job. But now you got to buy your own healthcare insurance. You got to account for that too. I can tell you how much I pay a month. And that shit is going up and up and up by the year. You're responsible for doing that shit on your own now. You don't have nobody paying in 50% no more for you. You got to take care of your vision. You got to go get your teeth clean. You got to pay for that. If you need to go for a checkup, you got to every month. I pay like $600-700 a month for healthcare insurance. I think like $697 I'm paying right now. On the first of the month, that shit come out like clockwork. And if the first fall on a Saturday or a Sunday, they take that shit out on Friday. Oh, they don't wait till Monday. They take that shit out a day earlier. Let it be a holiday or the goddamn first fall on the weekend. They're going to make sure they get it Thursday or Friday. Don't worry about it. That's cool. I ain't heard one person come up here and say nothing about health insurance. Oh, yeah, Mark, I got my health insurance. That's a fixed cost. Not one person. I've been waiting. Now, don't come up here now because you heard me say it and include that because I'm going to dig. You know I'm going to dig. So don't lie. Can't afford it. That's something that you need to think about and factor in too. There's a lot of costs that are associated for the older people who are coming in that you're going to be responsible for now that's also going to cut into your profit margin. And this is why when I talk to some people that want to leave work and I explain to them why I ask them, it's not me being nosy. It's me trying to see where they're at so I can tell them the truth. Listen, you're going to make more money staying where you're at. This is what this business is going to get you. And it's just facts. You're going to spend a lot of the money that you're grossing to maintain and sustain the business. When you go work, make that 125, you're only responsible for taxes. The costs that are associated with whatever it is that you do, you don't cover them costs. You go to a job, they delegate you something to do, you do it. Whatever happens in the inner workings of that facility or that job, you're not responsible for it. If the roof collapses, you're not responsible for it. If a water main breaks, doesn't cost you, you're going to get the same salary, the same pay. If they get sued for whatever reason, don't matter to you. But when you run a business, anything that goes on, anything occurs, you have to bear the brunt of that. The business has to bear the brunt of that. When you ride from the sustainability of your business, you undermine your vision, if you even had a vision. If you even had a vision. I think everybody's goal is to ultimately be successful, right? But if you come in without a plan and you continuously rob from the sustainability of the business, you just what's the point? What's the point? You to sum things up, you start a business. The business should operate as a business. You operate as an individual. Look at it like that, who works for the business. Get out of the mind frame, because this is where a lot of people mess up, especially us. We think this shit is ours. Stop looking at the business as yours and start looking at yourself as a high-paid employee for the business. A high-paid employee for the business, a principal for the business who makes decisions for the business. But still look at the business as a separate entity. Everybody, you want to own some shit so bad. This is why y'all run to these LLCs, because they told you this shit. You don't even understand that there's other structures of business. Not to say go do incorporation, because I'm a proponent or a fan of the corporation more so over than an LLC for the industry that we're in. But you don't even take the time to go out and seek to see if there's something else other than an LLC. You want to own some shit so bad. Look at yourself as an employee for your business. Pay yourself something modest. You shouldn't be making more than the business. Period. If the business has $1,500 after everything is paid, most of y'all gonna think that $1,500 is yours. Wrong. You probably should be paying yourself no more than $500 of that. But you're not gonna do it. Why? Because most people's cost of living is higher. But that's your fault because you didn't do what you were supposed to do prior to coming in to understand that. And or you're not willing to delay your gratification on your personal side. You're not willing to cut your cost. You're not willing to make the sacrifices. You're gonna take that whole 15. Or you're gonna take 1,000 and leave 500 in a business account, which means you're paying yourself more than the business. You think you bigger than the program. You never supposed to think you bigger than the program. And then I'm gonna revert you back to the examples that I just gave. Go look at Elon Musk's net worth, and then go look at Tesla's market cap. Go look at Jeff Bezos' net worth, and then go look at Amazon's market cap. Go look at Tim Cook's net worth, and then go look at Apple's market cap. Go look at Bernard Arnault's net worth, and then go look at the LVMH Group's market cap. I can guarantee you, each one of those individuals' net worth does not exceed the market cap of those companies. Well, Mark, I got to take care of home. Well, you know what? You robbing from the sustainability of the business. Each time you say, well, I got to take care of home, you're robbing from the sustainability of the business. The business don't care about your home. There's no way the business should be making less than you. There's no way on any given day the business should have less cash flow in the reserve than you have in your personal bank account. See, we can't even get to the big dog shit. I can't never get to why you should spend a lot of your money. Because I always have to revert back to operational cost and shit like that. I tell y'all all the time, I don't got no savings account. For what? To me personally, and that's me, I think that's the dumbest shit. To me, a savings account is just like taking your money to a goddamn grave and just burying it 6 feet deep. It's not working for me. It's just there. They're holding it. They're using it. They're making money, and then they're giving me 0.0061 while they go charge some retard 7%. I reallocate. The money comes in, it goes right back out. We can't never get to that because we always got to resort back to this stuff. Man, Mark, I don't know where the money going. You robbing from the sustainability of the business. Mark, I got to take care of home. You robbing from the sustainability of business. You got what's his name come up here all the time. He talk about his daughters and he want to do this, and he admits to robbing from the sustainability of the business with a smile. Who is that? Who is that there? I forget. Admits to robbing from the sustainability with a smile. Ain't did taxes. Been running a couple years. No taxes. Robs from the sustainability of the business. Y'all don't take this shit serious. Man, Mark, how can I get more trucks? How can I get... Man, how'd you do it? I'm telling you. Where you going to make the sacrifice at, though? Where you going to cut? Are you willing to live below your means for an extended period of time to get to that promised land? If you already have accrued a certain lifestyle, are you willing to cut back? Are you willing to scale your lifestyle back? Take 10 steps back so you can take 40 steps forward later on down the line? If you're a younger person, are you willing to not adhere to maybe what your peers are doing. Isolate yourself, educate yourself. Delay your gratification, stay at home even though people going to make fun of you for doing so that you can save as much money, start your business from humble beginnings, and reallocate the money that's coming in back into the business. Be disciplined so when you're out dating, you just not out willy-nilly in it, raw dogging it, having kids out of wedlock that can ultimately, and a lot of people get mad at this, but I'm just keeping it a buck. This can ultimately slow down your progress when you go start your business. If you can start your business at a young age, with little to no personal expenses, once you gain the knowledge, you don't realize how quick you'll grow and scale. Don't let nobody talk down on you. And if they do, fuck them. Make sure you pull back up on them in 10 to 15 years. Sacrifice is the thing that a lot of people can't seem to get in educating themselves. Sacrificing and educating themselves. Well,